Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here. Look, if you've been getting this knot in your stomach every time you scroll past a headline about artificial intelligence, believe me, you are not alone. There's this widespread, very real anxiety right now about AI just swooping in and replacing human jobs. I mean, it feels like literally every single day a brand new tool drops that can do in seconds what used to take us hours, right? But today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to look at the hard data, historical precedents, and emerging trends to figure out exactly what's actually happening to the workforce. And, much more importantly, how you can position yourself to not just survive, but totally thrive in this new era.
All right, let's dive right into this by confronting the terrifying projection head-on. 85 million. That is the number of jobs projected to be displaced by AI and automation by the end of 2026. We are talking about 200,000 Wall Street positions basically marked for elimination. Even the CEO of Uber publicly admitted that their 9,000 drivers won't have jobs in the future. It's a massive, deeply intimidating number that makes it feel like, well, human labor is just becoming obsolete.
But we need to instantly flip the script here. 170 million. That's the number literally nobody is talking about on the evening news. That is how many entirely new jobs are projected to be created by 2030, specifically because of AI. So that narrative of pure job destruction, it's completely missing half the picture. To understand where this massive job creation is coming from, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the AI job panic, move into the Jevans Paradox, explore 3 shifts in work, examine the data center bubble, and finish up with 5 steps to survive. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The AI job panic, and why the headlines are terrifying. Before we get to the massive opportunities, we have to validate those very real fears people are experiencing, because for certain types of work, the threat is absolutely genuine.
The data paints a pretty clear picture of the panic room we're sitting in right now. Numbers from Anthropic show that computer programmers face a 45% replacement risk. Customer service sits right behind at 42% and data entry at 40%. The Dallas Federal Reserve actually found that young workers, those between 20 and 24 in AI-exposed fields, are already seeing a 14% drop in their ability to find jobs since ChatGPT launched. And this isn't just theory, right? Companies are actively moving on this. Block cut 50% of its headcount. Pinterest laid off 15%. eBay slashed 800 roles. This corporate restructuring is brutal, and it's happening right now.
But here is where we need to zoom out. Section 2. The Jevons Paradox. This is a 160-year-old economic principle that changes absolutely everything and proves the exact opposite of what everyone fears is actually happening just under the surface.
Okay, so back in 1865, an English economist named William Stanley Jevons noticed something totally bizarre. When steam engines became vastly more efficient and started using way less coal, common sense dictated that coal consumption would drop, right? But it didn't. It absolutely exploded upward. Why? Well, because the efficiency made using coal so much cheaper, which ended up unlocking entirely new uses and entire industries that simply didn't exist before. This paradox perfectly predicts our AI future.
We've actually seen this paradox proven throughout history over and over. Think back to the 1970s when ATMs first rolled out. Everyone immediately declared the bank teller dead. But because ATMs made it significantly cheaper to operate a bank branch, banks started opening way more branches. And the result? The total number of human bank tellers actually increased significantly from 1980 all the way to 2010. Automation didn't destroy human value, it expanded the whole industry.
We saw the exact same thing happen with video. YouTube was supposed to kill television jobs. And yeah, Hollywood did lose tens of thousands of traditional roles, but YouTube's efficiency allowed a tiny team of maybe 5 to 10 people to create what used to require 150 people on a traditional TV set. That massive drop in production costs ended up creating 500,000 to 600,000 completely new jobs. We saw this in healthcare too. When CT scans got cheaper, radiologists didn't disappear. Instead, demand hit all-time highs because more people could finally afford the scans. And you know what? We're already seeing the Jevons Paradox happen with AI right now, today. According to a 2026 Citadel report, despite the insane rise of AI coding tools, software engineering job postings on Indeed are actually up 11% year over year. On GitHub, pull requests are up 23%, and commits are up 25%, hitting nearly 1 billion. So the takeaway here is that AI isn't destroying the demand for human intelligence, it's making human intelligence cheaper and faster to deploy, which is causing the total demand for it to just absolutely explode. Which brings us to Section 3, 3 shifts in work and how the types of jobs are changing dramatically. Because there is a catch to the Jevons Paradox. Yes, demand explodes, but narrow, repetitive work vanishes, while higher leverage, uniquely human work becomes exponentially more valuable.
Let's dive into our first shift, the rise of the small, dynamic business. Right now, 57% of U.S. small businesses are actively investing in AI, which is a massive jump from just 36% in 2023. Why the sudden spike? Because AI has completely collapsed the cost of starting a micro-empire. What used to require 50 people and millions in VC funding can now be built by a lean team of 2 to 10 people with almost zero capital. The barrier to entry for entrepreneurship is basically gone.
Shift number 2 is this huge divergence of skills. Desk-based digital roles, the people sitting behind a screen just processing information all day, they're at the highest risk. But physical and relational trades, plumbers, electricians, bricklayers, they are completely untouchable, and their value is skyrocketing. And it's not just blue-collar work. Lived human experience is becoming the ultimate currency. Take Matt Pitcher, a financial planner who gave a TED Talk simply about what it was like to personally meet 100 lottery winners. It got 500,000 views in weeks. Why? Because an AI has all the data in the world, but it has absolutely zero lived experience.
So, what are the actual human skills that survive this shift? First, an entrepreneurial mindset, being able to see problems and prototype fast. Second, authentic human connection. An AI can't host a dinner party or leave a deeply empathetic voice note for a struggling friend. And third, wide-ranging curiosity. Remember, Steve Jobs didn't invent the iPhone by just studying phones. He blended wildly unexpected domains like telecommunications and calligraphy. That wide, uniquely human curiosity is your ultimate superpower.
Our third shift is perfectly captured by a quote from Mark Cuban. He said, "The biggest opportunity right now is bridging the gap for small business owners who don't know how to implement AI. This integration gap is the blue ocean opportunity of the decade. Most businesses are just using AI like a basic Google search. But the winners? They're feeding AI their hardest problems." I read about this one company that fed an AI 3 months of their sales call recordings. The AI found a hidden pattern. 75% of prospects mentioned needing their spouse for the decision, but the sales team literally never invited the spouse to the call. They changed the script, and conversions absolutely soared. If you can be the person who bridges that integration gap, you are sitting on a goldmine.
Now, we need to pivot for a second to Section 4, the data center bubble. Because to give you the full, honest picture in this explainer, we have to acknowledge the massive macroeconomic risk happening right in the background of this boom. The historical outcomes here are pretty sobering. Whenever we've spent more than 3% of our GDP on a massive infrastructure build-out, think railways, electrical grids, highways, it has historically triggered a massive recession or depression. This year alone, we are spending $650 billion on data centers. But here's the catch. Unlike railways that last for decades, data centers have a lifespan of just 3 to 4 years before the hardware becomes completely obsolete. The AI tech is undeniably incredible, but this financial model? It's what's keeping economists up at night. It's a structural risk we absolutely have to be aware of. But let's bring the focus right back to you and what you can actually control. Section 5, 5 steps to survive. Here is your action plan for the AI economy. We've looked at the data, the paradox, and the risks. Now, here's your concrete playbook to transition from panic to total empowerment. Step 1, build a personal brand. Even a small, tight-knit network of 2,000 people is an incredible safety net. Step 2, play with AI tools daily. Treat AI as your sparring partner, feed it your messiest problems, and develop a bias for just figuring things out. Step 3, discover your personal intellectual property. Document your lived experiences. That is your impenetrable moat. Step 4, think small and dynamic. Build highly profitable, flexible teams of 2 to 20 people. And Step 5, move first on AI integration. Be the person in your industry who actually implements these workflows. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. What is your very first move to become irreplaceably human today? Look, the future isn't going to the people panicking, and it certainly isn't going to the people burying their heads in the sand. It belongs to the first movers who are brave enough to adapt. Take just one step from that playbook today. And hey, if this explainer helped you see the future a little more clearly, please share it with someone else who might be feeling that AI anxiety and really needs to hear this. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll see you next time.